Hello, and welcome to Cosmic Sleep Stories. Tonight, we'll drift into a tranquil journey through the cosmos and beyond, exploring 100 gentle, sleep-inducing facts that will carry you softly into the night. Greetings, dear traveler, and welcome to a place of stillness and peace. Tonight, we settle into the quiet rhythm woven through all living things, exploring the gentle mysteries of patterns that surround us in every direction. In this peaceful voyage, we'll softly uncover the secret language etched into nature's design, a mysterious code known as the Fibonacci pattern. From the spirals traced delicately in leaves and blossoms to the curves hidden deep within the natural world, these patterns quietly shape beauty and balance throughout all of existence. This will be a gentle journey, unhurried and calm, allowing you to rest as we wander. So, if you find yourself drifting into sleep along the way, that's exactly as it should be. There's no need to stay awake. Settle in, let comfort embrace you fully, and join me as we wander softly through one of nature's most captivating secrets. Now, let us begin this tranquil exploration together. When you gaze closely at a seashell resting gently in your palm, or watch a tender vine curling softly around a slender branch, you might notice a familiar shape unfolding before your eyes, a spiral that seems to drift outward endlessly, repeating its curve with quiet grace. These spirals are not scattered by chance or randomness. They follow a subtle rhythm, a repeating pattern quietly woven into the very fabric of existence itself. One such pattern bears a name whispered through the centuries, the Fibonacci design. It follows a beautifully simple principle. Each element builds upon those that came before, creating a progression that appears again and again in plants, shells, creatures of the sea, and even the majestic structure of galaxies far beyond our sight, swirling through the cosmic void. Closely tied to this ancient pattern is a special proportion known as the golden ratio, sometimes called nature's hidden number, a mysterious constant that seems to govern harmony. It represents balance and growth in an almost magical way, shaping how leaves arrange themselves gracefully on stems, or how flowers open their petals to greet the morning sun. But why does nature favor this particular arrangement so consistently? What makes it so fundamental to the design of life itself across species and time? These questions gently invite us to look closer, to wonder softly at the invisible architecture that guides growth and form throughout the living world. Tonight, we'll begin to unravel these mysteries slowly and peacefully, exploring how this timeless pattern helps living things flourish with quiet efficiency and natural grace. Let's start this gentle journey into the secret language written across the natural world, a language older than words. But what exactly lies at the heart of these Fibonacci patterns? What makes them so special and enduring? At their essence, they form a sequence, a quietly growing series created by combining the elements that came just before in a continuous flow. Starting with the simplest beginnings, this method creates a pattern that unfolds slowly, steadily, like the gentle turning of a spiral drifting through time and space. The values themselves stretch outward into infinity, each one larger than the last, but all intimately linked by this simple guiding principle that never changes. This sequence might seem at first like a purely mathematical curiosity, an abstract idea existing only in the realm of numbers. But it holds a special place in nature because it reveals something much deeper about growth and form throughout the living world around us. Instead of random values scattered about without purpose or meaning, these numbers emerge again and again in nature, quietly underlying the shapes of countless organisms from the smallest to the largest. It's a hidden structure, invisible to the casual observer, that connects the smallest petal on a wildflower to the largest shell drifting through ocean currents, all bound together by this silent numerical rhythm flowing through creation. The beauty of these numbers lies in their elegant simplicity combined with their profound implications. They form the foundation of spirals, patterns, and rhythms we might otherwise overlook as we move through our busy lives, a secret code that nature uses to build efficiently and harmoniously across millions of years. They are not merely abstract digits existing in dusty textbooks, but a living language written across time and space, visible in the quiet designs of plants and animals, and even distant galaxies swirling slowly through the infinite darkness. Understanding this sequence is like glimpsing the hidden architecture behind the natural world, a gentle reminder that order and beauty flow through all things, connecting everything in a web of mathematical harmony. It invites us to see the world with fresh eyes, noticing patterns we've walked past countless times without truly seeing. Beyond the quiet gardens and peaceful forests where we walk in contemplation, spirals and curves emerge throughout nature on vastly different scales, whispering the same ancient song across dimensions. Take seashells, for example, those delicate twisting homes crafted patiently by ocean creatures over long periods of time. Each shell often grows in a smooth, expanding spiral, curving outward in a way that's both stunningly beautiful and remarkably practical for the creature within. This shape allows the shell to grow steadily and continuously as the creature inside matures through its life cycle, providing both strength and space without wasting precious material or energy. The spiral form isn't scattered randomly across sandy shores or ocean floors. It follows an underlying pattern that guides this gradual expansion with precision, producing a shape both efficient and graceful, a quiet testament to nature's genius perfected over countless generations. The curve of each shell maintains its proportions as it grows, never losing its fundamental shape even as it expands to accommodate new growth. This self-similar growth, where the pattern repeats at different scales, is one of the hallmarks of Fibonacci-related designs throughout the natural world. Each whirl of the shell echoes the ones before it, creating a harmonious progression from the smallest inner chamber to the wide opening at its edge. On a much grander scale stretching across unimaginable distances, spirals appear in the cosmos itself, in structures so vast they dwarf entire solar systems. Galaxies, those enormous collections of billions of stars, glowing dust, and luminous gas, often swirl in stunning spiral arms that stretch across expanses beyond human comprehension. These majestic cosmic spirals span vast reaches of space, sweeping outward like enormous pinwheels, spinning slowly, majestically through the eternal darkness. Their shape emerges from gravitational forces pulling and tugging across eons, and the graceful motion of countless stars dancing together in an ancient cosmic ballet. But intriguingly, remarkably, their spirals echo the same mathematical principles that govern tiny shells resting peacefully on Earth's beaches, held in a child's hand. It's as if nature's patterns repeat faithfully across scales, from the microscopic to the galactic, whispering a common language of growth and movement that transcends size and time itself. The arms of a spiral galaxy curve outward with the same proportional grace as a nautilus shell, though one measures light years across and the other fits in your palm. This connection across scales invites us to wonder at the fundamental principles that shape all of existence. Even within weather systems drifting across our skies above, spirals emerge with quiet power and beauty. Hurricanes and cyclones twist in enormous swirling patterns, driven by Earth's gentle rotation and complex atmospheric forces. These spirals concentrate energy and motion, shaping storms that influence climates and touch lives across entire continents. The repetition of spirals in so many natural contexts, from ocean depths to sky to distant space, invites wonder and peaceful curiosity. What is it about these particular curves that appeals so deeply to nature's design across so many different phenomena? Why does existence favor spirals as a fundamental form of growth, structure, and motion? These questions gently pull us toward the mysteries beneath the patterns, urging a closer look at the hidden order beneath apparent chaos, the quiet logic beneath the seemingly random. Among the many patterns that quietly shape the world around us in subtle ways, one proportion stands apart as particularly special, a constant that seems woven into the very fabric of existence itself. Known as the golden ratio, it is often whispered about as nature's secret number, a hidden key to harmony and balance that unlocks beauty. This ratio, which many people find naturally pleasing to the eye without quite knowing why, appears again and again in living things, architecture throughout history, and art across cultures. It expresses a sense of balance, harmony, and proportion that feels deeply satisfying to human perception, even if we can't quite articulate the reason for this attraction. The golden ratio emerges when a line or shape is divided in a special way, so that the smaller part relates to the larger part in the same proportion as the larger part relates to the whole. This relationship creates proportions that seem perfectly balanced in a way that feels just right, neither too symmetrical nor too chaotic, but resting in a quiet harmony that whispers of natural order and rightness. It's a proportion that shows up in spirals, branching patterns, and growth processes throughout the living world, wherever we care to look closely. This balance isn't just about beauty for its own sake or aesthetic pleasure. It helps living systems grow efficiently, using space and resources wisely without unnecessary waste of energy or materials. You might see the golden ratio reflected in the way leaves spiral gently around a stem as they grow upward toward light, how shells curl inward gracefully in perfect proportion, or how flowers arrange their petals in pleasing patterns that also serve practical purposes. It's a subtle guide, a gentle blueprint that helps life unfold with rhythm and grace through countless generations of evolution. This proportion appears to offer advantages for survival, which is why natural selection has favored it repeatedly across species. People have noticed this mysterious proportion for thousands of years across many civilizations, sensing its presence intuitively without fully understanding its origin or deeper purpose. It's like a hidden thread weaving together disparate fields, connecting art, nature, and science in surprising ways, reminding us that balance and harmony lie at the very heart of the world around us. Ancient Greek mathematicians studied it with fascination. Renaissance artists employed it deliberately in their compositions. Modern scientists continue discovering it in unexpected places. This quiet secret invites us to wonder softly and peacefully. Why does this particular proportion appear so frequently across different scales and diverse forms? Is it simply a coincidence, a trick of human perception seeking patterns, or something deeper and more fundamental guiding life's patterns through the flow of time? As we continue exploring gently, we'll uncover how this special ratio shapes living things in surprising and beautiful ways we might never have imagined. Humans have long been captivated by the mysterious patterns they discover in the world around them, drawn irresistibly to the hidden order beneath nature's beautiful surface. Long before the term Fibonacci was known or whispered in mathematical circles and universities, people carefully observed spirals and rhythms repeating in shells, flowers, and trees. These shapes seem to hint at a hidden architecture beneath nature's beauty, inviting curiosity and deep wonder across cultures and centuries. The Fibonacci sequence itself was first formally described in the 13th century by Leonardo of Pisa, known affectionately as Fibonacci, who introduced it through a mathematical problem about populations growing over time in predictable patterns. But the numbers and spirals it reveals had been quietly present in art, architecture, and nature for ages before his careful observations and recordings. Ancient civilizations admired these patterns deeply and reverently, incorporating similar proportions in their grand designs and monuments, from the pyramids rising majestically in Egypt to the Parthenon standing timelessly in Greece, seeking harmony and balance that reflected the natural world they observed around them daily. These builders and artists seem to understand intuitively what we now can describe mathematically. This fascination continues unabated today, as scientists, artists, and thinkers from all disciplines explore how the Fibonacci sequence and the related golden ratio appear throughout our surroundings in unexpected ways. It seems as if there is a timeless dialogue between nature and human creativity, each mirroring the other in shapes and structures that transcend time and cultural boundaries. We see these patterns appearing in everything, from seashells cradled gently by ocean waves, to sunflowers turning their faces toward the sun, and even in the way distant galaxies spiral across the universe, vast and beautiful beyond imagination. For centuries, stretching back into antiquity, these patterns have been a profound source of inspiration and contemplation, a quiet symbol of order amid the apparent complexity of existence. They connect the separate realms of mathematics, art, and biology in ways that feel almost magical, as if revealing a secret language spoken by the universe itself to those patient enough to listen. The enduring allure of these numbers and proportions reminds us gently that the world is woven with threads of beauty and logic intertwined, inviting us to look closer and appreciate the subtle rhythms that shape life itself. A gentle reminder that wonder and mystery lie all around us if we only pause long enough to truly notice. Long before modern science could explain the mathematics behind patterns in nature with precision, early naturalists were quietly observing and recording the beauty around them with patient, devoted care. These early thinkers, curious souls wandering forests, examining flowers closely, and turning over stones by the sea, noticed that certain shapes and arrangements kept appearing again and again, whispering of hidden order beneath the surface, spirals in shells, the gentle whirls of leaves, the branching of trees reaching skyward toward light. These patterns seemed more than mere random chance, hinting at a deeper structure beneath what the eye could see. Naturalists such as Johann Wolfgang von Goethe in the 18th century reflected deeply on how plants grow and organize themselves with such apparent purpose. He developed the concept of morphology to describe the study of forms and structures, pondering thoughtfully why nature favored certain shapes over others again and again. Goethe and others like him began to appreciate that the patterns they observed weren't merely decorative flourishes, but deeply functional, intimately connected to how living things survive and thrive in their environments. As the centuries passed and knowledge accumulated, these patient observations laid the crucial groundwork for more detailed scientific investigations that would follow. Naturalists working before modern tools noticed that the spirals of pine cones and sunflowers often followed a mysterious numerical sequence that seemed to repeat with remarkable consistency. Their careful sketches and detailed notes sparked questions about the hidden rules guiding growth, symmetry, and efficiency in living things. Questions that would occupy scientists for generations to come. This inspired later scientists and mathematicians to explore these natural codes more rigorously with new tools and perspectives, building on the foundation laid by these early observers. The awe and wonder early naturalists felt is still very much with us today, passed down through generations of curious minds. Their keen eyes and thoughtful curiosity remind us that science often begins with the simplest of acts, paying close attention to the quiet rhythms of the world around us. It's through this patient looking, this willingness to observe without rushing, that we begin to uncover the secrets woven into the fabric of life, slowly unraveling nature's language, one gentle pattern at a time, piece by piece. Nature rarely produces perfect mathematical shapes in the strict sense that geometry defines them. Yet certain mathematical patterns emerge again and again throughout the living world with striking consistency. These patterns are more like graceful approximations than exact formulas written rigidly, beautifully imperfect echoes of mathematical ideals. A spiral shell isn't a flawless curve drawn with a compass, but it follows a consistent, graceful sweep that comes remarkably close. A sunflower seeds don't align with perfect, machine-like precision in rigid rows. Yet their arrangement closely matches mathematical spirals, known as Fibonacci spirals, coming astonishingly close to the ideal. This recurring pattern of near perfection suggests something important, that nature favors efficient and adaptable growth strategies that work well in the real world, rather than rigidly following exact numbers that would require impossible precision. Plants and animals develop forms that work well enough to survive and reproduce successfully in a constantly changing environment. For example, the spirals visible in pine cones or the distinctive pattern of pineapples approximate Fibonacci numbers quite closely, allowing seeds to pack densely together without wasting valuable space or leaving inefficient gaps. The golden ratio, often called nature's secret number with good reason, appears as an ideal balance between parts in many living things. But in actual living organisms, it is always an approximation rather than a perfect match. Leaves and petals rarely align in perfect mathematical order, like a textbook diagram, yet they come close enough to optimize sunlight, capture, or reproductive success In practical terms, these slight variations from mathematical perfection are actually quite important, allowing flexibility and resilience rather than strict uniformity that might be fragile. In this way, nature's recurring mathematical patterns reflect a beautiful harmony between order and chaos, precision and natural variation. They are the fingerprints of evolutionary processes gradually shaping growth, form, and function over countless generations. Though imperfect by mathematical standards, these patterns guide how life unfolds across every scale. From the majestic spiral arms of galaxies spinning through space to the gentle whirls of tiny seedlings just emerging from soil. This quiet balance between exact mathematics and organic variation invites us to wonder at the delicate intelligence woven into the fabric of the natural world. The fascination with Fibonacci patterns stretches far beyond the realm of mathematics alone, weaving through diverse cultures, scientific inquiry, and artistic expression alike. Across human history spanning millennia, people have been captivated by the way these numbers appear in both nature and human creations, sparking curiosity that transcends time and geographic place. From ancient civilizations building monuments to modern scientists peering through microscopes, the intrigue of the Fibonacci sequence has inspired a shared sense of wonder that unites humanity. Artists have long been drawn to the golden ratio connected intimately to Fibonacci numbers, using it consciously or unconsciously to create works that feel balanced and harmonious to viewers. Paintings, sculptures, and architectural designs throughout history incorporate these proportions to evoke a natural sense of beauty that resonates deeply with human perception. This enduring appeal across centuries suggests that the patterns resonate deeply with human perception at a fundamental level, tapping into an intuitive understanding of order and elegance built into how we see the world. In the realm of science, the Fibonacci sequence appears in surprising places that continue to astonish researchers, from the spirals of distant galaxies to the intricate growth patterns of plants and animals here on Earth. Researchers study these patterns carefully to uncover underlying principles of development, efficiency, and evolutionary adaptation. The sequence acts as a fascinating bridge between abstract mathematics and the tangible physical world, inviting scientists to explore how complex forms arise from elegantly simple rules repeated over time. Culturally, Fibonacci's numbers have appeared in mythology, philosophy, and folklore across many traditions. Some cultures see these patterns as a symbol of the universe's inherent order and design, while others view them as a mystical code hidden within the natural world, waiting to be deciphered by those wise enough to notice. This broad fascination across different societies reflects a universal human desire to find meaning and connection in the patterns that surround us, to understand our place within the larger order. Ultimately, the Fibonacci sequence inspires curiosity by revealing a subtle harmony linking diverse fields and human experiences together. It encourages us to look closer with fresh eyes, to question what we think we know, and to appreciate the intricate dance between numbers, nature, and human creativity. A quiet invitation to explore the mysteries woven through life itself. But what if we look more closely at how plants arrange their leaves as they grow? One of nature's most elegant strategies involves spirals, a pattern known as spiral phyllotaxis. This arrangement allows leaves to be positioned in a way that maximizes their exposure to precious sunlight, which is absolutely crucial for photosynthesis and survival. In spiral phyllotaxis, each new leaf grows at a specific angle from the previous one, often close to what scientists call the golden angle, creating optimal spacing. This careful spacing prevents leaves from shading one another unnecessarily, ensuring that every leaf receives the light it needs to convert energy. The result is a beautifully efficient system where energy is gathered with minimal waste, demonstrating how plants have evolved over countless generations to use natural patterns for practical benefits. This spiral pattern is not random or haphazard, but follows a precise order discovered through patient observation, creating leaf arrangements that spiral gracefully upward around the stem as the plant grows toward the sky. From a distance, these spirals look perfectly balanced and orderly, creating patterns that please the eye. Yet they are also flexible enough to adapt to different environmental conditions, responding to changes in light or space. This natural design reveals an astonishing harmony between form and function, where mathematical patterns quietly support the essential processes of life. As you imagine these spirals unfurling gently in soft morning sunlight, consider how this quiet efficiency sustains forests, gardens, and fields around the world. Each leaf's careful placement is a subtle part of a grand design, showing how nature quietly uses geometry to thrive and flourish without conscious effort. Let's pause here and explore how the Fibonacci pattern appears beautifully in seed packing, one of nature's most efficient ways to fill space without waste. Sunflower heads provide a stunning example that has captivated observers for centuries. When you look closely at a mature sunflower, you'll notice that their seeds form two sets of spirals curving in opposite directions, creating an intricate geometric pattern. These spirals don't just create a pleasing visual design that attracts pollinators. They optimize how seeds fit together perfectly, allowing the plant to pack the maximum number of seeds into a limited circular area. This efficient packing ensures that each seed has enough room to develop properly, while minimizing wasted space that would reduce reproductive success. The spirals in sunflowers often correspond to consecutive numbers in the Fibonacci sequence, creating patterns that balance seed distribution beautifully and support the plant's reproductive success across generations. This arrangement isn't arbitrary, but represents an evolutionary solution refined over millions of years. Similarly, pine cones display overlapping scales arranged in spiral patterns that echo these same mathematical principles. These spirals allow the scales to overlap perfectly, like tiles on a roof, protecting the precious seeds nestled inside while maintaining structural strength against wind and weather. The careful arrangement maximizes both protection and seed dispersal efficiency, crucial elements for the pine tree's life cycle and continuation of the species. By following these natural spirals inscribed in their very growth, both sunflowers and pine cones demonstrate a remarkable way that living systems solve complex spatial problems through simple, repeating patterns. This packing strategy is a quiet but powerful testament to the elegance of nature's geometry, blending breathtaking beauty with practical function in the plant world. It shows us that what appears beautiful often serves a deeper purpose. But what if we look even more closely at why spiral patterns matter so profoundly for plants in their daily existence? One key advantage lies in reducing shadowing on leaves, a problem that could severely limit a plant's energy production. When leaves grow in spirals around a stem, following the pattern called spiral phyllotaxis, they're arranged to minimize overlap, ensuring each precious leaf receives optimal sunlight throughout the day's journey. This careful spacing allows sunlight to reach more leaves throughout the day as the sun travels across the sky, increasing photosynthesis, the vital process by which plants convert light into the chemical energy they need to grow and reproduce. By avoiding shading one another through this intelligent arrangement, leaves can work more efficiently together as a collective system, capturing as much sunlight as possible to fuel growth and reproduction. In fact, the angle between successive leaves often approaches what is known as the golden angle, an arrangement that distributes leaves evenly around the stem like a perfectly balanced spiral staircase. This spacing pattern reduces shadowing by spreading leaves apart gently, so no leaf blocks its neighbor's access to precious light. This natural geometry reflects an elegant solution to the challenges plants face in crowded environments where competing for sunlight can be absolutely critical to survival. By adopting spiral growth patterns refined through evolution, plants balance maximizing light capture with conserving the resources needed to support leaf development and maintenance. The spiral's ability to reduce shadowing illustrates a subtle but vital way these patterns contribute to plant survival in practical terms. It's a beautiful example of how mathematical principles quietly influence living systems, creating efficient and harmonious designs without any conscious planning or effort, simply through the gradual process of natural selection, favoring what works best. Let's pause here gently and explore how Fibonacci numbers appear in the petals of flowers, connecting intimately to their reproductive success and continuation. Many flowers have a number of petals that corresponds to numbers in the Fibonacci sequence, creating patterns that repeat across species. This pattern is not just a curious coincidence noticed by mathematicians. It plays a subtle but important role in reproduction and attracting vital pollinators. The number of petals influences significantly how a flower presents itself to pollinators, like bees, butterflies, and birds who visit seeking nectar. A spiral or symmetrical arrangement of petals, often based on these special numbers, creates a visually appealing and accessible landing platform that guides pollinators efficiently toward the center. This helps attract pollinators from a distance and guides them efficiently toward the nectar and pollen, increasing the chances of successful pollination. Moreover, this particular petal count contributes to optimal packing and spacing, ensuring that petals do not overlap too much in ways that would waste resources. This maximizes the flower's exposure to passing pollinators, increasing the likelihood that they will notice and visit it among competing flowers. Since reproduction depends heavily on these visits from pollinators, the petal pattern directly enhances the flower's chances of producing seeds and continuing its species into future generations. Some studies suggest that plants with these numbered petals might be evolutionarily favored because this arrangement balances structural stability and efficient resource use better than random arrangements. Flowers that grow petals in these patterns tend to have shapes that withstand wind and rain better, protecting the delicate reproductive organs nestled at their center. So these numbers in flower petals aren't just a beautiful quirk of nature to be admired. They represent an evolved strategy for reproduction refined through countless generations. This intersection of mathematics and biology highlights how deeply these patterns are embedded in nature's designs, quietly influencing life's ongoing cycle of growth and renewal. But what if we look more closely at the branching patterns visible in plants above ground? Many trees, shrubs, and climbing vines grow branches following spiral arrangements closely related to these mathematical patterns. These branching patterns are more than just visually appealing forms that please our aesthetic sense. They serve crucial functions in stability and resource management that determine a plant's survival. Spiral branching helps distribute mechanical stress evenly across a plant structure, like a well-engineered building. Instead of branches competing for space or causing structural weakness by clustering together in one area, the spiral arrangement spaces them out efficiently around the trunk or main stem. This reduces the risk of breakage from strong winds or the plant's own increasing weight as it matures, allowing it to grow taller and stronger over many seasons. From a resource perspective, these patterns optimize the flow of water, nutrients, and sugars throughout the entire plant system. The spiral geometry creates a network that minimizes the length of transport pathways, reducing energy expenditure in moving vital substances from roots deep below to leaves high above and back down again. Studies have shown that plants with spiral branching can adjust growth dynamically to changing environmental conditions in remarkable ways. For example, when one branch is damaged by storms or animals, the spiral arrangement allows the plant to redirect resources and growth more effectively to healthy branches that remain. This adaptability enhances the plant's survival chances in constantly changing environments where flexibility matters. This natural optimization through these related spirals reflects an intricate balance between form and function honed over evolutionary time. It allows plants to maximize both structural integrity and resource efficiency simultaneously, quietly demonstrating how mathematical principles underpin biological success in practical ways. Just as branches above follow spiral patterns reaching toward the sky, many plant roots also grow in spirals beneath our feet, winding through the soil in elegant twisting paths we rarely see. This spiral growth underground isn't random wandering, but plays an important role in how plants explore and exploit their hidden environment below. Roots need to efficiently navigate dense soil, searching constantly for water, nutrients, and space to expand. Spiral growth allows roots to cover more ground in a compact area, avoiding obstacles like rocks and spreading out without wasting energy on repeated paths that would be inefficient. This pattern helps plants maximize resource uptake in unpredictable and often challenging soil conditions where nutrients are scattered unevenly. Research has shown that spiral root growth can improve soil penetration significantly, allowing roots to push through hard or compacted layers more effectively than straight growth would permit. By twisting and turning like a corkscrew, roots reduce the resistance they encounter, similar to how a drill bit spirals to bore efficiently into wood or rock. The spiraling root architecture also helps stabilize plants against physical forces like strong winds or heavy rain that could uproot them. Roots anchored in a spiral pattern distribute mechanical stresses across a wider area underground, increasing overall plant resilience and helping it remain firmly rooted. This spiral root behavior is yet another elegant example of how natural growth patterns connected to these mathematical principles, optimize survival in practical ways. By exploring the soil in spirals rather than straight lines, plants increase their chances of finding pockets of resources and maintaining stability through storms, all while conserving precious energy. Through these underground spirals hidden from view, nature reveals its quiet genius once again, an elegant blend of form, function, and efficiency rooted deep in the earth beneath our feet. Let's look more closely at why these spiral patterns matter so profoundly for plant survival and adaptation over evolutionary time. Nature rarely settles on random forms when consistent patterns offer advantages. Instead, the recurring spirals and sequences we see in leaves, seeds, roots, and branches represent an optimized design shaped gradually by evolution through natural selection. By following spiral arrangements perfected over countless generations, plants maximize their exposure to sunlight, ensuring leaves don't shade each other too much in ways that would waste potential energy. This directly supports photosynthesis, the vital process by which plants convert light into chemical energy. Efficient light capture means stronger growth, better health, and increased chances of thriving in competitive environments where resources are limited. Similarly, the way seeds are packed in spirals within pine cones or sunflowers optimizes available space brilliantly, allowing plants to produce more seeds in a given area without overcrowding. More seeds mean greater reproductive success, a key factor for the continuation of any species across generations. Below ground, where we cannot see, spiral root growth enhances the plant's ability to explore soil thoroughly and adapt to variable conditions like drought or poor soil quality. Roots can reach pockets of nutrients and water that might otherwise be missed by less efficient growth patterns, improving resilience significantly. The structural stability provided by branching spirals helps plants withstand wind, rain, and other mechanical stresses that could damage or destroy them. By distributing forces evenly through spiral patterns, rather than concentrating stress in weak points, plants reduce the risk of catastrophic damage and increase their longevity through many seasons. Taken together, these natural patterns are not just beautiful forms to be admired in passing. They are functional strategies honed by millions of years of evolution through trial and error. They improve a plant's ability to adapt to its environment, survive daily challenges, and reproduce successfully to pass on its genes. In this quiet, elegant way, these spirals and related growth patterns become a fundamental blueprint for life itself, a harmony of form and function that helps plants flourish in an ever-changing world. Among the many wonders of nature's spirals that appear across different scales, the shells of mollusks offer a particularly striking example that has fascinated observers throughout history. From tiny sea snails, no bigger than a grain of rice, to large chambered nautiluses spanning hand widths, these creatures grow their protective shells in beautiful, ever-expanding spirals. Unlike rigid geometric spirals drawn by human hands with compass and ruler, these natural forms follow a precise self-similar curve that maintains its essential shape as it grows larger. This type of curve, often approximated by these mathematical sequences, allows the shell to expand continuously without losing its proportional form or becoming distorted. The result is a shell that grows efficiently over the creature's lifetime, protecting the vulnerable animal inside while accommodating its steadily increasing size through the years. This growth pattern is a form of logarithmic spiral where each successive curve grows proportionally larger in a beautifully consistent way. It's a natural solution to a biological challenge that every growing creature faces: how to build a structure that is both strong enough to protect and spacious enough to accommodate growth. As the mollusk matures through its life cycle, the shell must expand to house its growing body, but without changing its overall shape dramatically or becoming fragile and vulnerable. Following these growth curves ensures the shell's structural strength is maintained throughout life, while offering the expanding creature continuous shelter from predators. It's a remarkable balance between biological necessity and mathematical precision. The elegance of these spirals has fascinated scientists, mathematicians, and artists alike for centuries across many cultures. The nautilus shell, with its nearly perfect spiral shape visible when cut in cross-section, is often used as a symbol of natural harmony and proportion in art and design. Its growth embodies the profound principle that simple mathematical rules repeated over time can give rise to complex and breathtaking forms. This deep intertwining of biology and geometry is one of nature's quiet marvels, a testament to the deep connections between life and mathematical order that pervade existence. Many animals grow horns and claws that exhibit spiral shapes closely related to these natural patterns we've been exploring. These spirals are not merely decorative features serving no purpose. They serve a vital structural purpose that enhances survival. The spiral form distributes mechanical stress evenly along the length of the horn or claw, enhancing durability and reducing the chance of breakage during combat with rivals or digging through hard ground. For example, the impressive curved spiraled horns of bighorn sheep or the twisting claws of certain reptiles follow this natural design principle refined through evolution. This pattern allows these appendages to be remarkably strong yet lightweight, optimized for survival in demanding environments where every advantage matters. The spiral shape also helps in growth regulation as the animal matures over years. As an animal develops from youth to maturity, its horns or claws grow continuously, curling in predictable patterns that maximize length and effectiveness without unnecessary bulk that would waste resources. This efficiency reflects the same self-similar growth found in shells, where proportional expansion maintains form and function throughout life. Spirals allow these body parts to grow impressively large and effective without compromising the animal's balance or mobility, a critical factor in an animal's ability to thrive in competitive environments. Beyond strength and efficient growth, spiral horns and claws also play important roles in display and mating behaviors that determine reproductive success. The impressive spiraling structures can signal health and genetic fitness to potential mates watching carefully, while simultaneously intimidating rivals who might challenge for territory or breeding rights. This blend of form, function, and communication underscores how these spirals permeate the natural world beyond just plants, extending throughout animal anatomy as well in surprising ways. Spiderwebs often showcase intricate spiral patterns that demonstrate nature's continued affinity for this efficient and beautiful shape across different contexts. The classic orb web is composed of concentric circles connected by radial threads, like spokes on a wheel, forming a spiral that maximizes surface area for catching prey while maintaining impressive structural strength. This elegant design allows spiders to catch flying insects effectively, balancing durability with the ability to absorb impact without breaking catastrophically. Spirals in webs are not random constructions, but carefully built following instinctive patterns, optimizing the web's function as both trap and temporary shelter. Beyond spider webs hanging in morning dew, other natural constructions also incorporate spirals for practical purposes that enhance survival. For instance, snail shells, as previously discussed, and even some carefully woven bird nests display spiral or curved shapes that enhance stability and efficient resource use. These spirals help distribute forces evenly across the structure, making it resilient against wind, rain, or the movements of inhabitants going about their lives. This principle of spiral construction extends across many different scales and species throughout nature, highlighting its universal efficiency as a design strategy. The repeated use of spiral patterns in natural architecture reflects an evolutionary preference for forms that combine strength, flexibility, and economy of materials simultaneously. Such designs minimize energy expenditure while maximizing utility, crucial for survival in the wild, where resources are precious and limited. Spirals, therefore, are not just mathematical curiosities studied in textbooks. They are essential solutions crafted and refined by millions of years of natural selection, woven into the very fabric of life's construction across countless species. Large-scale weather systems often reveal patterns that mirror the spirals we see in nature, including those related to these mathematical principles we've been exploring. Hurricanes, for example, form striking spiral shapes as they rotate around the central eye, creating some of the most recognizable patterns in meteorology. This swirling motion arises from the Coriolis effect, created by Earth's rotation and the complex dynamics of air pressure and temperature differences. The curved bands of clouds and wind trace a path that echoes the efficiency and balance found in natural spirals throughout the living world, helping the storm organize and sustain itself across vast distances. These spiral structures are not limited to hurricanes alone, but appear throughout atmospheric phenomena. Many cyclones and even some powerful tornadoes display similar curved patterns sweeping across the landscape. A spiraling flow allows these systems to conserve energy while moving vast amounts of air and moisture across thousands of miles of ocean and land. The geometry of these spirals optimizes the distribution of forces within the storm, making them both powerful and remarkably persistent over days or even weeks. It's a striking example of how natural laws shape phenomena at very different scales, from the microscopic to the planetary. Though these spirals are not perfect mathematical sequences in the strictest sense, their resemblance to such patterns suggests an underlying order, even in seemingly chaotic systems. The way energy moves and circulates within weather systems often aligns with principles of growth and balance that these mathematical ideas help describe. This connection invites us to see the universe as an intricate network of repeating patterns linking phenomena across scales, from microscopic life to massive storms spanning continents. Nature speaks a common language of spirals and curves. Ecosystems often exhibit fractal patterns, complex self-similar shapes that repeat across different scales, which share intriguing connections to these spiral structures we've been discussing. For example, branching in river networks and tree canopies reflects recursive patterns where smaller branches or streams mimic the overall shape of the whole system at larger scales. These natural fractals optimize resource distribution, such as water flow through rivers or sunlight capture through forest canopies, allowing ecosystems to function efficiently across diverse environments, from rainforests to deserts. In many forests, the arrangement of leaves, branches, and roots follows patterns that resemble recursive spirals or fractals, creating beautiful complexity. This self-similarity helps plants maximize space and energy capture while creating a balance between growth and stability that serves them throughout their lives. Even at the level of entire habitats, such as coral reefs or wetlands, fractal patterns emerge to support biodiversity and resilience, enabling countless species to coexist and adapt in dynamic conditions that change with seasons. These fractal and related structures highlight nature's tendency to use repeating geometric rules to solve complex problems across scales. They reveal a deep mathematical rhythm that underpins living systems, connecting tiny biological processes with vast environmental patterns that shape entire landscapes. This recursive order invites curiosity about how universal principles shape the intricate web of life on Earth, suggesting that simple rules repeated create extraordinary complexity. The complex patterns found in ecosystems, often resembling fractals or these spirals, can significantly affect predator-prey relationships in subtle but important ways. For example, the branching structures of vegetation create intricate hiding places and ambush points for both predators and prey. Moving through the landscape, this spatial complexity can influence hunting success rates and survival, shaping the behaviors and adaptations of animals living within these environments over evolutionary time. In aquatic systems such as coral reefs or kelp forests swaying in ocean currents, the fractal-like arrangements provide multiple layers of refuge and feeding grounds at different scales. Predators navigate these complex habitats by following paths shaped by spiral or recursive patterns, while prey use the intricate geometry to evade capture through quick maneuvers. This dynamic interplay between structure and behavior demonstrates how natural patterns directly influence ecological interactions that determine which individuals survive to reproduce. Furthermore, these repeating patterns help maintain balance within ecosystems by supporting diverse niches and reducing direct competition for limited resources. The geometry of habitats driven by these designs fosters coexistence, allowing predators and prey to adapt in response to the environment's spatial complexity over generations. This underlying order shapes the evolutionary arms race across countless species and generations, driving adaptations in hunting strategies, escape behaviors, and camouflage patterns. These patterns extend far beyond the plant kingdom, influencing evolutionary adaptations in numerous animal species across diverse environments. Many animals exhibit spiral structures or growth forms that align with these mathematical sequences, providing functional advantages shaped by natural selection over millions of years. These patterns often enhance strength, efficiency, or reproductive success, showing that these mathematical principles are more than just abstract curiosities. They're a fundamental blueprint in nature's design toolkit, used repeatedly across different lineages. For example, the coiling of snail shells follows a logarithmic spiral related to these numbers, allowing these creatures to grow without changing their shape drastically as they mature. Similarly, The spiral arrangement of horns or claws in certain animals optimizes structural integrity, making them more resistant to damage during fights with rivals or environmental stresses. These adaptations demonstrate how mathematical sequences can inform physical form to meet biological needs effectively. Even behavioral traits may connect to these natural patterns in surprising ways. The way some animals navigate through their environment or build nests sometimes reflects spiral or recursive patterns, facilitating efficient movement or construction that conserves energy. This subtle integration of these designs in animal evolution highlights the deep, often hidden connections between mathematics and the natural world, revealing a shared language of growth and survival spoken across species. In the microscopic world of cells invisible to the naked eye, these sequences emerge in surprising ways, especially during growth and reproduction. Some single-celled organisms and simple multicellular life forms divide and multiply following patterns that echo these mathematical principles, reflecting an inherent efficiency in how life expands from the smallest scales. These sequences guide the timing and structure of cell division, ensuring balanced and optimized growth over time that maximizes survival chances. One clear example is the way certain algae and fungi grow through their life cycles. Their cells often split in ratios that match these special numbers, which can influence the overall shape and size of the organism as it develops. This patterned growth helps maintain structural stability and resource distribution as the organism matures, making it more resilient in its environment where competition is fierce. The repeating sequence acts as a natural rhythm embedded in life's blueprint at the most fundamental level. Beyond simple organisms, these related growth patterns influence early developmental stages in more complex life forms as well, shaping how embryos develop. During embryonic development, cell division rates and layering can reflect these mathematical sequences, contributing to the harmonious formation of tissues and organs that must work together. Such connections hint at a universal principle where these patterns support life's orderly and efficient emergence from the microscopic scale upward through increasing complexity. Spiral phyllotaxis, the elegant arrangement of leaves around a stem, arises naturally from simple biological growth rules encoded within plants at the genetic level. As new leaf buds form at the growing tip, they do so at specific angles that optimize space, minimizing overlap and allowing each leaf to access sunlight efficiently, as we discussed earlier. This angular spacing often approximates what scientists call the golden angle, which is closely related to these mathematical patterns. The process involves the plant's growth hormones, especially auxins, which regulate where new leaves emerge along the stem. These hormones create inhibitory fields around existing buds, guiding new growth to positions that maintain a spiral pattern automatically. This self-organizing mechanism ensures that leaves are evenly distributed around the stem, balancing the plant's need for light capture with structural stability throughout its life. Over time, this biological feedback creates the distinctive spiral pattern seen in many plants, from daisies in meadows to succulents in deserts. These spirals aren't random constructions, but rather emerge from the plant's internal growth dynamics, illustrating beautifully how complex natural patterns arise from simple local rules at the cellular and biochemical level repeated thousands of times. The intricate patterns observed in plants, including spirals and leaf arrangements, are guided by developmental biology at the genetic level in ways scientists are still discovering. Specific genes regulate how cells grow, divide, and differentiate into different tissue types, orchestrating the formation of these natural designs with remarkable precision. Key genes influence the production and distribution of growth hormones, such as auxins, which play a critical role in shaping plant architecture from seedling to maturity. Genetic pathways control the timing and location of cell division, directing the emergence of leaf primordia in precise spatial sequences that unfold predictably. These sequences often produce patterns related to these mathematical principles because the genetic regulatory networks optimize for efficient resource use and growth over evolutionary time. Mutations in these genes can alter pattern formation significantly, sometimes resulting in variations of the spiral arrangements or deviations from the ideal angles. Research in developmental genetics continues to uncover the complex interactions between multiple genes and environmental factors that fine-tune these patterns in response to conditions. This genetic control exemplifies how evolution shapes plants to harness mathematical efficiency in their form and function, reinforcing the deep connection between biology and these numerical sequences. Mathematical models help scientists understand how spiral and ratio patterns emerge naturally in living organisms without conscious design. By simulating growth processes and physical constraints, these models reveal how simple rules repeated over time can generate complex recurring structures, like those linked to these mathematical sequences. For example, models based on the golden angle show how successive growth points positioned at specific angles produce spiral arrangements seen in leaves and seeds with remarkable accuracy. These models often use algorithms that mimic biological growth, where new cells or organs develop at angles and distances that optimize light exposure or packing efficiency in limited space. By incorporating feedback mechanisms like hormone distribution and mechanical forces pushing and pulling on developing tissues, the models reproduce the natural spirals and ratios observed across diverse plant species in different environments. This approach bridges pure mathematics with biological reality, showing that abstract principles have concrete applications. Such mathematical frameworks are not just theoretical exercises confined to laboratories. They guide experimental biology by predicting how changes in growth parameters affect pattern formation, allowing scientists to test hypotheses. Over time, these models have helped demystify why these related patterns are so prevalent throughout nature and why evolution often converges on similar solutions for growth and efficiency across unrelated species. These spirals appear subtly throughout human anatomy as well, revealing a surprising connection between mathematics and our own bodies that we carry with us. One well-known example is the shape of the human ear, which often resembles a gentle spiral that follows the proportions associated with these mathematical sequences. This natural curve may aid in directing sound waves efficiently toward the inner ear, enhancing our ability to hear. Beyond the ear, some researchers have noted that the overall proportions of the human body, including the length of limbs relative to each other, often approximate the golden ratio, a close cousin of these numerical patterns. These proportions contribute to what many perceive as harmonious and balanced in human form. explaining perhaps our aesthetic preferences. The structure of DNA itself, the molecule carrying our genetic information, forms a double helix that can be described using these mathematical principles in its spiral geometry. This fundamental molecule of life coils in a way that optimizes both stability and accessibility for cellular processes. Even the way fingers curl naturally when relaxed follows a spiral pattern related to these sequences. The spiral appears in fingerprints, which form unique patterns that help with grip and tactile sensitivity. These examples suggest that the same mathematical principles governing plants and shells also influence human development and form in subtle but significant ways. However, it's important to recognize the limitations of applying strict mathematical descriptions to living systems, which are inherently variable and complex. While patterns approximate these ideal numbers and ratios, biological systems rarely achieve mathematical perfection due to genetic variation, environmental influences, and developmental noise. Living organisms are shaped by countless factors beyond simple mathematical rules, including adaptation, mutation, and random chance. The patterns we observe are best understood as tendencies rather than absolute laws, guidelines that evolution has found useful but not rigid constraints that must be followed. Researchers continue studying growth efficiency in plants and animals, seeking to understand precisely how these patterns contribute to survival and reproductive success. Modern scientific methods allow detailed measurements and experiments that reveal the functional advantages of spiral arrangements. Studies have shown that plants following these growth patterns often capture more sunlight and produce more seeds than those with random arrangements, providing clear evolutionary benefits. Similarly, research into animal structures like shells and horns demonstrates how spiral growth optimizes strength while minimizing material use, creating structures that are both efficient and effective. These investigations bridge theoretical mathematics with practical biology, showing how abstract patterns have concrete effects on fitness and survival in the real world. The golden ratio has appeared throughout human art and architecture history, suggesting a deep aesthetic connection that transcends cultures. From ancient Greek temples to Renaissance paintings, artists and architects have deliberately incorporated this proportion into their works, believing it creates pleasing and harmonious compositions. The Parthenon in Athens, the pyramids of Egypt, and countless paintings by masters like Leonardo da Vinci appear to employ these proportions, though some claims remain debated among scholars. This widespread use suggests that humans intuitively recognize and appreciate these patterns, finding beauty in proportions that echo natural forms. In music, composers have experimented with structures based on these mathematical sequences, creating pieces where timing and rhythm follow these numerical patterns. The result is often music that feels balanced and naturally flowing to listeners. Even in modern design, from product packaging to website layouts, designers continue using these proportions to create visually appealing work. This enduring presence in human creativity raises fascinating questions about the relationship between mathematics, nature, and human perception. Human perception and attraction to these proportions may be rooted in our evolutionary history and brain structure. Studies suggest that people across different cultures tend to find faces and bodies with proportions approximating the golden ratio more attractive on average. This preference might arise because such proportions signal health, genetic fitness, and developmental stability, traits our ancestors would have valued in potential mates. Our brains may be wired to recognize patterns that appear frequently in nature, finding them aesthetically pleasing because they represent order and predictability in a complex world. Art, sculpture, and architecture throughout human history provide countless examples where these proportions have been deliberately employed to create beauty. The ancient Greeks used the golden ratio in the design of the Parthenon, creating a structure that has been admired for thousands of years for its balanced proportions. Renaissance artists like Leonardo da Vinci studied these ratios carefully, incorporating them into masterpieces like the Vitruvian Man and the Mona Lisa, seeking to capture ideal human beauty. Modern architects continue to reference these proportions in building design, from the United Nations headquarters to contemporary museums, believing they create spaces that feel naturally comfortable and welcoming to visitors. The psychology of proportion reveals why certain ratios feel pleasing while others create subtle discomfort. Research has shown that when people view images with golden ratio proportions, specific areas of their brain activate, particularly regions associated with emotional responses and pleasure. Brain imaging studies reveal that the anterior insula, a region linked to emotional feelings, shows increased activity when participants observe sculptures or images designed with these proportions. This response appears largely automatic and non-conscious, suggesting that our attraction to these patterns is deeply ingrained rather than learned through culture alone. Furthermore, when participants actively judge something as beautiful, their amygdala activates, the brain structure involved in emotional memory and learned associations. This suggests that our sense of beauty involves both innate responses and cultural conditioning working together. The visual harmony provided by balanced proportions contributes to psychological well-being in subtle but meaningful ways. Disordered or disproportionate spaces can generate feelings of discomfort or mild anxiety, whereas spaces designed with harmonious proportions are perceived as calmer and more welcoming, affecting how we feel throughout our day. Nature's patterns continue inspiring human creativity across all fields of endeavor, from art to engineering. Architects draw on spiral forms and golden proportions observed in shells and plants to design buildings that feel organic and integrated with their surroundings. Artists reference these natural patterns in their compositions, creating works that resonate with viewers on a subconscious level. Even graphic designers and web developers use these principles to create layouts that guide the eye naturally through content, making information easier to absorb and more pleasant to experience. This ongoing dialogue between nature and human creativity enriches both fields. The intersection of science and culture becomes visible through these shared patterns that unite different ways of understanding the world. Scientists study these mathematical sequences to understand biological efficiency and evolutionary adaptation, uncovering the mechanisms behind natural forms. Meanwhile, artists and philosophers contemplate the same patterns, seeking meaning, beauty, and connection to something larger than themselves. This convergence suggests that mathematics, science, and art are not separate domains, but different lenses for viewing the same underlying reality, each offering unique insights that complement the others. But why do these particular proportions feels so pleasing to human perception across different cultures and time periods. One theory suggests that our brains evolved to recognize patterns that appear frequently in nature as signals of health, abundance, and safety. Landscapes with balanced proportions might indicate fertile environments where our ancestors could thrive. Faces and bodies exhibiting these ratios might signal genetic fitness and developmental stability, traits valuable in choosing mates and allies. Over countless generations, individuals who found these patterns attractive may have made better survival and reproductive choices, gradually wiring this preference into human neurology. Another perspective holds that our brains simply find patterns easier to process than randomness, making ordered forms inherently more pleasant to perceive. Processing visual information requires mental energy, and patterns that follow predictable mathematical rules require less cognitive effort to understand and remember. This efficiency in perception may translate into aesthetic pleasure, explaining why we find balanced compositions more satisfying than chaotic ones. The truth likely involves a combination of evolutionary adaptation and cognitive processing, with both factors contributing to our aesthetic responses. Yet many unanswered questions remain about these patterns and their significance in the broader scheme of existence. Why do these specific mathematical relationships appear so consistently across such vastly different scales and contexts, from quantum particles to galactic structures? Is there something fundamental about these proportions in the mathematics of the universe itself? Or are they simply common solutions that physics and chemistry favor? Scientists continue investigating these questions, seeking deeper understanding of the principles that govern pattern formation across all levels of organization. A long-standing debate persists about whether these patterns represent coincidence or function, accident or design. Some argue that we notice these sequences because humans are pattern-seeking creatures who naturally look for order, even where randomness prevails. In this view, the Fibonacci sequence appears in nature not because of any special mathematical magic, but simply because many growth processes happen to produce similar patterns. When something grows by adding new elements based on previous growth, spiral patterns naturally emerge from the geometry of space and the constraints of physical forces. Others contend that these patterns serve clear, functional purposes shaped by natural selection over evolutionary time. The spiral arrangement of leaves optimizes light capture, providing concrete survival advantages. The packing of seeds following these numerical ratios maximizes reproductive output in limited space. From this perspective, mathematics doesn't cause these patterns. Rather, physical and biological processes favor efficient solutions, and mathematics simply describes what efficiency looks like in different contexts. Evolution discovered these patterns through trial and error across billions of years, selecting organisms whose growth followed these advantageous principles. The philosophical implications extend beyond biology into questions about the nature of reality itself. Some thinkers see these universal patterns as evidence of underlying order in the cosmos, suggesting that mathematics is not merely a human invention, but a fundamental language of existence. Others maintain that mathematics is simply our tool for describing patterns we observe, useful but not inherently more real than the phenomena themselves. These questions touch on deep issues about whether mathematical truths exist independently of human minds or emerge from our attempts to make sense of sensory experience. Challenges in measurement and observation complicate our understanding of how precisely these patterns appear in nature. While many examples approximate these mathematical ratios beautifully, few match them exactly when measured with precision instruments. The question becomes, at what point does an approximation count as an instance of the pattern? If a spiral is close but not exact, does that support or undermine the claim that nature follows these mathematical principles? Different researchers may reach different conclusions based on how they define and measure pattern presence, leading to ongoing debates in scientific literature. Some scientists question whether we might be seeing patterns where none truly exist, a phenomenon called apophenia, the tendency to perceive meaningful connections between unrelated things. Human brains evolved to detect patterns for survival, sometimes leading us to see order in random data. However, the mathematical precision with which many natural spirals approximate these sequences, combined with clear functional advantages they provide, suggests these patterns are more than mere coincidence or wishful thinking. The connection to fundamental constants of physics and mathematics remains an area of active investigation. Some researchers explore whether the golden ratio and related proportions connect to fundamental physical constants that govern forces and particles at the quantum level. While speculative, this line of inquiry asks whether the same mathematical principles appearing in biological growth also underlie the structure of matter and energy itself. If true, this would suggest a profound unity in nature's design principles across all scales of existence, from subatomic to cosmic. The relationship between order and chaos in natural systems provides another layer of mystery and contemplation. These patterns appear to represent islands of order emerging from seemingly chaotic processes, predictable structures arising from complex interactions of countless variables. This interplay between order and randomness characterizes many natural phenomena, from weather patterns to ecosystem dynamics. Understanding how ordered patterns emerge from chaotic systems remains a central question in fields ranging from physics to ecology, with these mathematical sequences offering clues to underlying organizing principles. Current scientific research continues exploring these patterns with ever more sophisticated tools and methods. Modern imaging technologies allow researchers to measure structures with unprecedented precision, testing whether natural forms truly match mathematical predictions. Genetic studies investigate which specific genes control pattern formation, revealing the molecular mechanisms that translate mathematical principles into biological reality. Computer simulations model how patterns emerge from simple growth rules, helping scientists understand the minimal conditions necessary for these structures to appear. Research into the human body has revealed these patterns at multiple levels of organization. Studies find golden ratio proportions in the arrangement of facial features, the structure of lungs and blood vessels, and even the molecular organization of DNA. The branching of lung buds during embryonic development follows patterns related to these sequences, optimizing airflow and gas exchange in the mature respiratory system. Even the turnover rate of colon stem cells appears to follow these mathematical principles, though the functional significance remains under investigation. Molecular biology has uncovered surprising connections between these patterns and the genetic code itself. Research has utilized sequences related to these mathematical principles to uncover hidden symmetries within the structure of DNA and RNA. Patterns in codon assignments and the degeneracy of the genetic code show mathematical regularities that may reflect fundamental constraints on how information can be efficiently encoded and transmitted. These findings suggest that optimization principles, similar to those shaping visible forms, may also operate at the molecular level, governing the very language of heredity. Yet as our understanding deepens, new mysteries emerge, reminding us how much remains unknown. Each answer generates new questions. Each discovery reveals new layers of complexity beneath what initially seemed simple. The more we learn about these patterns, the more we appreciate the subtle intricacy of natural systems. This endless unfolding of knowledge invites humility and wonder, acknowledging that complete understanding may forever elude us even as we progress in our investigations. These patterns ultimately serve as a bridge connecting different ways of knowing and experiencing the world around us. They unite the precision of mathematics with the beauty of art, the rigor of science with the contemplation of philosophy. They remind us that nature operates according to principles we can glimpse but never fully grasp, patterns that reveal themselves gradually to patient observation. In this way, these spirals and sequences become more than just mathematical curiosities or biological facts. They become symbols of the mystery and order coexisting throughout existence. As we conclude this gentle exploration, we return to where we began, standing in quiet wonder before nature's subtle artistry. The spirals in a seashell, the arrangement of petals on a flower, the branching of trees reaching skyward, all whisper of hidden connections, linking the smallest details to the grandest scales. These patterns invite us to look closer at the world, to pause in our busy lives and notice the quiet beauty surrounding us in every direction. They suggest that beneath the apparent chaos and complexity of existence flows a current of order, a mathematical poetry written across all living things. Perhaps what matters most is not whether these patterns represent divine design, evolutionary optimization, or mathematical inevitability, but simply that they inspire wonder and curiosity in those who notice them. They encourage us to ask questions, to seek understanding, to appreciate the intricate dance between form and function that characterizes all of life. In recognizing these patterns, we participate in an ancient human tradition of observing, wondering, and seeking meaning in the natural world that has sustained cultures across all of history. Tonight, as you drift towards sleep, carry with you images of gentle spirals unfolding endlessly, of leaves arranged in perfect balance, of shells curving gracefully through oceanic time. Let these patterns remind you that you too are part of nature's grand design, connected through invisible threads to everything that grows and changes. The same principles shaping galaxies and seashells also flow through your own form, linking you to the vast tapestry of existence in ways both seen and unseen. Rest now in the knowledge that patterns of beauty and efficiency surround you, that order and mystery coexist peacefully throughout the universe. Let the gentle rhythm of these spirals carry you softly into dreams, where mathematics and poetry merge, where science and wonder become one. As you close your eyes, imagine yourself floating through endless spirals of stars, drifting on currents that have flowed since the beginning of time. connected to all things through nature's secret language of form and number. Good night, dear traveler. May you rest peacefully, cradled by the same forces that shape shells and galaxies, guided by the same gentle patterns that have sustained life through countless ages. Sleep well, and let the quiet wisdom of nature's designs carry you softly into the night.